Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a book that puts forward a seriously chilling idea that there is a secret war being fought right now, not for land or resources, but for total control of the entire planet. Let's unpack what it claims.
Right out of the gate, the book hits you with this central, shocking claim. It alleges that the real endgame of a hidden conspiracy is to create a new world order, a world where individual liberty is completely a thing of the past.
So, how does this source material even begin to build a case like this? Well, first, we have to understand the nature of this alleged secret war itself. To back this up, the source brings in former Secretary of Defense James Forrestal. The argument here is that the huge events shaping our world aren't just accidents or incompetence. Instead, they're part of a highly intelligent and deliberate plan because, as the quote suggests, they never make a mistake in our favor. Okay, so that naturally leads to the next question, right? If this is all a deliberate plan, who are the architects? The book argues there's an invisible government pulling the strings from behind the curtain. So, who exactly are these alleged conspirators? The source doesn't just talk in vague terms. It actually tries to name names and point to the specific groups it believes are at the very center of it all. The source points its finger directly at the very top of financial and corporate power. It claims this whole conspiracy is driven by an elite group of Wall Street bankers, oil magnates, and CEOs of huge transnational corporations, all supposedly seeking what the book calls maximum power and control. And at the absolute heart of this network, the book places one organization above all others, the Council on Foreign Relations, or the CFR. It's described as the main hub, the operational center, actively working toward the submergence of U.S. sovereignty into a single global system. Now, here's a crucial point. According to the source, the political system we all see is just an illusion. It brings up Georgetown professor Carol Quigley's idea, claiming the Republican and Democratic parties aren't real opponents, but more like two wings of the same bird, both controlled by the CFR and pushing the same basic policies. So if the secret war isn't fought with conventional armies, then what are the weapons? Well, the book argues the primary battlefield is psychological. The weapon is your mind. The book's term for this strategy is psy-war, or psychological warfare. The objective isn't to occupy territory with soldiers, but to conquer minds by shaping perception. You could call it a war of mass brainwashing, designed to destroy the public's will to even resist. And a key tactic in the psy-war, the book claims, is a framework for manipulation known as the Hegelian dialectic. It's a simple three-step process to guide public opinion toward a specific, pre-planned outcome. Here's how it allegedly works. First, you create or escalate a problem. This generates a public reaction of fear and a demand that something must be done. Then you offer the very solution you wanted all along, a solution that usually involves people giving up more of their freedom in exchange for more security. The book offers a really chilling example of this concept in action. It highlights this quote from a report by a group with many CFR members. The report suggests that to speed up their plans, a major shocking event would be needed, a new Pearl Harbor, to create the perfect problem to justify their pre-planned solution. So what is the ultimate endgame here? If this alleged conspiracy were to actually succeed, what would the world really look like? The book uses this very specific phrase, a communo-fascist, feudal, totalitarian society, is describing a kind of hybrid system that supposedly combines the state control of communism with the corporate partnerships of fascism, all ruled over by a modern-day feudal elite. But what would that actually mean for the billions of people living on this planet? This is where the source presents its most shocking claims. According to the book, the plan is driven by a eugenicist agenda that calls for the elimination of at least 85% of the world's population, a truly staggering and terrifying claim. And for the survivors, the book alleges they would be subjected to a forced deindustrialization. It describes a future where consumption is rolled back to medieval levels, creating a compliant, dependent population in a new, controlled dark age. So let's bring this all back to the central theme. The source argues again and again that this entire struggle, this whole secret war, hinges on one single thing: psychological control. The book uses this quote from philosopher Bertrand Russell to illustrate the ultimate power of mass brainwashing. The goal is to perfect the science of propaganda so well that you can make an entire population believe something that is obviously false, that you can create an unshakable conviction that snow is black. This really brings us to the book's core argument, that this secret war isn't being fought with bullets and bombs, but with information and deception. The ultimate battlefield to be conquered, according to this source, is the human mind. And that leaves us with one final, provocative question posed by the source material. In a war where deception is the primary weapon and propaganda is the ammunition, how can anyone even tell who the enemy is?